Hello again, everyone. Edwin Woodard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Mars in conjunct the North Node in the natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in the natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I decided to do is make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is, if you have Mars in conjunct the North Node in the natal chart, one way it may manifest could be an adjustment, which is the inconjunct may be needed between doing things you have an enthusiasm, which is Mars for, and pursuing your future, which is the North Node. One or the other may be overemphasized, and the key is to find the balance and equilibrium between the two. It could be where you may really strongly, emphasize, the things you have an enthusiasm for to the expense of pursuing your future, which is the North Node, or vice versa. Now, if the North Node, let's say, is in Pisces as an example, that future may be tied in. It could be with spirituality, relaxation, even meditation, the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Other things can include poetry, dancing, photography, chemistry, anesthesiology, boating, fishing, as some examples. Now, another thing too is that there may be an imbalance, which is the inconjunct, between activities that are associated with sexual partners, which is Mars, and those that are prominent in your future, which is the North Node. You may be dominated by one or the other. It could be where there may be so much activities with sexual partners to the expense of those that could figure prominently in your future, and you may just be oblivious to those people at times, or it could be the other way around, where you're dominated by time with those that can play an integral role in your future to the expense of the matters, the activities associated with the sexual partners. Now, if the North Node, say, is in Aries as an example, that future may be tied in. It could be doing something with welding or carpentry, speech, pathology, physiology, the military. It may be just simply expressing leadership prowess and ability, as some examples. And another thing about Mars in conjunct the North Node in a natal chart, as far as how it may be expressed, it could also be where there may be too much or too little energy and vitality, which is Mars, in going after that future, that destiny, the mission and purpose, which is the North Node. If the North Node, say, is in Taurus as an example, that future may be tied in with simply being more self-reliant, self-sufficient, accumulating possessions, establishing values. It could be doing something Taurus related, whether something connected with geology, carpet laying, architecture, agriculture, gardening, cultivation, something with banking or finance, as some examples. And another thing, and it could be, also too, there may be too much or too little enthusiasm, which is Mars, in developing the positive attributes connected with the North Node placement. There may be times where you may have an exorbitant amount of enthusiasm in the development of those positive qualities of the North Node position. Then there may be other times where you're just really apathetic regarding doing this, and there's no emotional energy. They're just you're completely just doing this, you're either oblivious, may either be oblivious to developing the qualities connected with the North Node placement, the positive qualities of it, or you just you're completely uncaring about it. But the thing is, now let's say, if the North Node is in the zodiac sign Cancer, as an example, those positive, attributes connected with the North Node may include being caring, sympathetic, nurturing, protective. It could be, being family-oriented, conscious regarding your home life. Someone that's willing to express, traditions. Doing something with nostalgia or history, as some examples. So the thing about this aspect too, Mars in conjunct the North Node in the natal chart may also be expressed in that Mars-related people may either be, extremely helpful in what you're learning and aspiring to be, which is the North Node, or not at all. There may be times where they just may be completely apathetic and oblivious to what you're learning and aspiring to be, just completely not caring about it. Now, Mars-related people can cover a number of persons, whether it's sexual partners, people in leadership positions. It could be those involved in law enforcement or surgery, or even sports or athletics, as some examples. And let's say if the North Node is in Scorpio, as an example, what you're learning and aspiring to be may be, you may be learning to be and aspiring to be resourceful, resilient, empowering, transforming, probing, incisive, a person that can go beyond subterfuge and superficiality, as some examples. And another thing too about this aspect is that you may either at times, strongly emphasize, expressing leadership prowess and ability, which is Mars, in your future and destiny, which is the North Node, or none whatsoever. And let's say, for example, if the North Node is in Gemini, your future and destiny may be tied in, where you're doing a lot of assimilating and disseminating information. It could be doing something in a communications field, such as data or satellite communications, or something that involves manual dexterity, like auto or refrigeration mechanics, as some examples. And there may be times where you just, express an exceptional amount of leadership ability, prowess and ability in those things, such as even taking the initiative, among fellow employees, as an example. Other times, you just may not care at all regarding doing this. So, another thing too is that you may either, times have an exorbitant and tremendous amount of energy and vitality, which is Mars, to do what needs to be emphasized and accentuated in the second half of life, which is the North Node, or none at all. Now, let's say the North Node is in Libra, as an example, which you may try to emphasize and accentuate in the second half of life. Maybe tied in with relationships and collaborating with others on projects and endeavors. It could be intellectual sociability. It may be legal matters and doing something. It could be connected to negotiation, arbitration, reconciliation, even scales. In some cases, scales are connected with Libra, such as scale design and production, as an example. But the thing about this aspect too is that you may also either very readily find that courage and bravery, which is Mars, to deal with issues that need to be addressed and confronted at some point, which is the North Node, or there may be tremendous difficulty in doing so. Now, let's say, if the North Node, is in Virgo, as an example, things that need to be addressed and confronted may be something connected with health, or something with nutrition or diet. Could be a worrisome situation, something that involves, being able to organize things more. It could be, doing something, that requires requires you to, compartmentalize, things, and maybe that hasn't been done, in some time, and it might be something that, something, more importance, at that point in time. It could be something over, employment, employees, as some examples, issues with punctuality, that you need to deal with, or just somebody that's just being overly critical or judgmental. If you have the North Node set in the first or sixth house especially, it may be a health-related issue, a fiscal-related issue that needs to be addressed and confronted. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, everyone, saying stay well.